Welcome to Nest. This is a cool space on the campus of UVA-Wise. If you're listening for the first time or just discovering this community, we're in downtown Wise on Park Avenue. So if you're a student or anyone, staff, faculty, whoever, and ever want to stop by, that's where we're at today. And today we're kicking off a series, a mini series called Nest Chats. And our goal with this is to inspire creativity and entrepreneurial thought in whoever, listens to this and develops interest in our community. Right. And also through this series, we want to showcase what you can actually do at Nest as a student. So if you're a student at UVA-Wise or even faculty or staff, you have access to this equipment, to resources and coaching if need be, if we can find somebody that fits your need. But all these resources related to entrepreneurship. So that's the idea behind this. And we are thrilled to have Lauren Glass. She's currently co-founder, right, of Ripple.
Yes.
And that is an awesome startup that she's working on that I actually think our students and our community could find value in. So with that being said, I'm going to throw it over to her and let her just tell you a little bit about herself.
No, I'm over here just like getting real comfortable in the chair.
Yeah,
I love it. This is just such a good setup. But yeah, so obviously you know me, but I'm Lauren. I am the co-founder of Ripple, which is a platform that connects college students to mentorship opportunities. So I'm in Kingsport, so not far away. And this is my second startup. Cool. The one was like a hybrid, I guess. But so I'm really excited about what we're doing. We're actually working with a few different universities, but we have been dabbling into UVA-Wise a little bit. And actually one of somebody that has been interning for me from UVA is here. So I'm excited about that. But yeah, so that in a nutshell, it's an app. So we're just learning day by day with that.
I have a few questions, so we'll learn a little bit more about that. And yeah, I want to make that apparent. We have a live audience today too. So we have a few people here who are listening in. So if you hear any talking, don't worry. That was all a part of the plan. So, well, Lauren, thanks for that, introduction, and thanks for being here. Appreciate you taking time. We're thrilled to have you. So if I were to just dive into a question to just kick things off, why entrepreneurship for you? What did you realize early on that led you in that direction? Because you mentioned you've worked on a couple startups and a couple projects, and I'm sure other little things that, never get mentioned, right? But yeah, why entrepreneurship? When did you realize that was going to be a part of your makeup and just your future?
Yeah. It's funny. And I never really tell people the real in-depth answer when it happened, but I was looking at the outline and I was like, today's going to be the day I'm going to tell the real story, of what happened. But what's funny is I'm 30, almost 31 now. So when I was in college, which wasn't that long ago, but it was long enough to where entrepreneurship, I knew that I would always say that I was too creative for school, and my parents would be like, that's not a thing. Nobody's too creative for school. Yeah. But it was just, I couldn't put words to how I felt. I would sit and think okay, what do I want to do when I grow up? And I'm like, okay, well, there's no way I can sit behind a desk every day. There's no way I can work in the medical field. All of that freaks me out. So I just kept thinking, okay, well, I'll worry about it when I get there. And that was really in high school when I kind of had that. But what's so hilarious is I'll never forget this moment. So basically this one time I had this random holiday job at Justice, the little girls store that used to exist. Anyways, I don't know what happened, but the playlist they were playing, I just remember there being a Taylor Swift song on. All roads lead back to Taylor Swift for me, in so many ways. Anyways, and I just remember, I don't know what it was about that moment. I could take you, if the store still existed, and take you where I was. But I was like, we're the same age and I'm here hanging up little girls' clothes. And I just started reeling through my head. It's almost like I put a real person in that moment to those achievements. And then it started with her just because like that was a song that was playing. But then it kind of that kept growing. So I would see stuff that I thought was interesting. And then my mind would always take it like one step further. Like that was just a normal person that did this. And so honestly, I kind of grabbed onto that thought right there and was like, okay, I don't know what my thing is going to be, but I'm a normal person. So I'm going to do something more just like these people did. So I think that was like really like the moment. It all started at Justice, but it's like, I don't know, just making that personal connection to like things that have bettered my life. I was like, all right, well, I'm just going to do that too. So that, and then from there, that's when the word entrepreneurship kind of started funneling into my life, and I could put like that word to it. But before that, I just wanted to do something like interesting with my life.
Right. Yeah, I totally get that. And we have talked. Lauren has had me on her podcast before, so graciously. Thank you.
You have to share that.
And yeah, so we've talked before, and kind of a conversation we've had in the past led to, you may not be the entrepreneur that you think you can be at that moment, but you can become that along the way if you start, if you dig in, if you just get going. So I think that's what you're kind of alluding to. And this would lead to kind of my next question for you, that I really like this about your story. I don't know a whole lot, but I find it really interesting that you grew up in East Tennessee, right? And you spent some time actually in Atlanta, Georgia, working on one of your first big projects, right?
Yes.
So would you kind of take me through that as you started realizing what entrepreneurship was? You were putting that word to meaning to the word, I guess, and how it pulled you there. Would you just kind of walk me through getting there, working on a project, what you might have learned along the way, and then what I think is even more fascinating, how you ended up right back here in the Appalachian Mountains. And it's not a dig like you didn't make it in Atlanta, but I love that fact that you're back here. You know how passionate I am about that. Now. So anything you want to elaborate on that little part of your journey? Yeah.
So I had started a business. Well, I had started a nonprofit when I was 18. That helped provide beds to kids who didn't have them. And we partnered with Department of Children's Services, just different organizations that were already dealing with this type of kid or family. And we just came in as a resource. And so did that for several years and was writing grants and was just like, oh my gosh, this is so, if you've ever written a grant before, like nothing will kill your vibe faster than writing a grant and getting a no. And so you get enough of those, you're like, okay, there has to be a better way to raise money for this cause. And so that's when Tom's shoes had just like become a thing. So I feel like he's like the father of social entrepreneurship, right? So now every brand has like a give back story, but he really was, to my knowledge, the first. And so read his book, I was in college, like freshman year of college. So I did a speech on him and was just like, everybody needs to go buy these shoes. Like I'm working for him for free. And so once again, one night I was just like, okay, I'm tired of depending on other people's money to make my dream happen. This normal guy started this shoe company. So I'm just going to start a company as well. And so that was like literally the end of the story. Like there was no like pre-planning to that. That was just like, okay, he did it. Now I'm going to do it. And that's pretty much how I still live my life now. I'm like modeling after lots of people. Anyways, so started a pillow company. That's what what I came to in the midst, and this all happened in the course of one night. I was like, okay, gonna start a pillow company. We'll sell like cute, like not even this good, but like pillows, kind of like the one that says like hello over there. Just fun little funky sayings. Like we'll sell these and then we'll put all that money towards beds for kids.
No, those were great pillows. I owned one or two. One was about a golden retriever.
Yes.
Am I right?
You got the good ones, but when we started, it was like that. Okay. So that night, you're probably gonna have to cut so much of this because I'm like going into the weeds. But like that night, I told my roommate, my college roommate, I was like, we have to go to the fabric store immediately. I have to start a pillow business tonight. And she was my best friend and still is. And so she was like, okay. It was snowing. I risked our lives to get to Joann's Fabrics and I picked burlap. So I don't know why. I was like, burlap, that's the one. And so I went home that night and sewed the pillows. Anyways, that actually started growing. So we started and I say we because I had friends that knew how to sew. I didn't know until I needed that. And so I recruited all these people. We were sewing all these pillows, getting a little better all the time. And then we were screen printing on them. And so that's when you came in, you got the next version up. And so then next thing I know, we had put it out on social media. Believe it or not, Instagram influencers were just starting at this point. Like everybody wasn't a blogger then or an influencer. And so an influencer posted a pillow that we had sewn in the living room and on her page. And over the course of a weekend, we got like $40,000 worth of orders.
That's awesome.
And it was awesome. But it was like me and two people sewing those. So think about $40,000 worth of like a $20 pillow. That's a lot of pillows. And so this is when I really that's the first moment that I was like, I'm in over my head. I don't know what to do. And so I started scrapping through like every person I knew, like for mentorship. I was looking for guidance, could not find anybody in my immediate network. But I remembered there was this one random guy that I knew from years ago that was in textile manufacturing. And he ended up connecting me to my first mentor, whose name is Laura, and she's in Birmingham. Anyways, connect with her. She had consumer goods products in the past. She helped me so much. She got me a manufacturing partnership in Alabama. Wow. So we could produce all those pillows. And then from there, she actually started just connecting me with people. And that's really how I ended up at Plywood Place, which is why when I moved to Atlanta, I started working out of a co-working space there, which was really like an accelerator too. So they helped me, like it was way more than an office space, but I was there for a little over 3 years and scaled and sold the business. And then sold the business and came back home. And that was the whole, I say sell the business like it was like this big glamorous thing. It was like, I didn't want to sell the business. I did everything wrong in that process. Like it was a big learning curve for me, but got it done and just want to be back home with my family. Wow. So long story to get
That's
you to where.
You said about 3 years.
3 years, yeah.
That's a lot went on in 3 years.
Oh,
That's awesome.
A lot went on.
You learned a lot.
Years.
Yeah.
A nervous breakdown and everything. It all happened.
Incredible. What if any entrepreneur was honest completely? They've had to have at least one or 10. Yeah. That's incredible.
So yeah,
awesome.
But thank you.
Yeah. No. So, and that kind of gets us to even more to now, right? So you moved back after that, and was it right away that you knew you wanted to start what is now Ripple, or what kind of led you to that idea?
No, it was not right away. Actually, I moved home and I was like, I'm never going to be an entrepreneur again. Like, that's what I said. I wouldn't listen to a podcast, wouldn't read a book. I was just like anti everything. I said, I want a normal job. I want to take some time off. I want a normal job. I want to work 9 to 5. And that is what I want to do. So I did that for like a year. And at the end of that year, I started getting the itch again. Like, there's something more for me. Like if you're an entrepreneur, you're an entrepreneur. Like you might scrap it down for a little while, but like it'll come back. And so that's really when I just, the idea for Ripple didn't come right away. I actually was trying to start a vitamin company, a gummy vitamin company, which never like seen the light of day, maybe one day. But so I was kind of working towards that. And then I was in an airport and just literally, it was like a God download for me. Like the idea just came like people like you, Lauren, aren't getting enough support in their personal endeavors. Like there's like something missing there. And so that's really when I started poking around different colleges that I had attended or connections to and just saying like, hey, is there like a missing link between mentorship and students and how they connect? And that kind of evolved rapidly.
Love that. And I love that your startup Ripple, this app, I love how future focused it is. And you're doing that here. You're doing that in East Tennessee, which is not a bad place at all. Actually, a very happening place, I think.
It's on the come up. Like if we can we're like in the, we're all learning together.
Yeah,
so
yeah, Johnson City, Kingsport, Bristol, a lot of good things are happening. So have you encountered huge obstacles when it comes to trying to build a platform like this and doing it in rural Appalachia, so to speak? You're not as rural as right here in Wise, but what kind of hurdles and obstacles maybe you've come?
There's definitely hurdles and obstacles because my past experience was in like a major city where you're just thinking differently there. Like it's just a different dynamic, and which is fine. So it is a hurdle, but I think it's one that I'm like excited to help overcome and help other people overcome is that we just get kind of comfortable here a little bit. And it's almost, sometimes it's harder to see or to change like the way people think about certain things. Now, can it be done? Yes, but that is a hurdle, but we're excited about that. So it is a very forward thinking like platform. It does kind of disrupt, I hate like saying all the buzzwords, but like traditional ways of doing things. So that has been like a little bit of a challenge, but that's when you know like that you're doing something that needs to be done where you are. It doesn't mean like, hey, I need to dart out of here and go somewhere else and do it. Like if you start feeling like friction, you're onto something that hasn't been done before, and that's innovation. Yeah. And so it is a hurdle, but it's exciting. And then, but the support that we have gotten here has been amazing. So it hasn't been a short supply of support. It's just, starting something that hasn't been done before is always going to have that. Yeah.
That's just not the natural vibe here to think in that way. Right. So that's incredible. So, you yourself, you're not a programmer, right?
No.
Coder. No. And so you have brought on a partner for this startup, right?
Yes.
So I had a question, and it doesn't have to be like a lengthy answer or anything, but we are talking to hopefully an audience who is either thinking about entrepreneurship, working on a startup or something like that. What things did you have in mind? Like what points did you, reiterate to yourself as you were trying to find a co-founder for Ripple who had the skills you didn't have? Because that in itself is hard to do. What skills do I have? What do I do well? And what do I need in a partner? What were some things that your thought process when it came to finding a
co-founder? Well, it's the best thing I've ever done. Like having somebody in it with me. And if you would have asked me that like 5-6 years ago, it would have been like, no, another person would just slow me down. But actually working with somebody has been so much better in all areas. But when we were looking for him, honestly, I knew that I couldn't develop. I knew I wasn't a developer. And I knew that I really only knew two things. I can't develop this on my own. 2, I want somebody that gets the vision. And I think I'll just have that feeling and there'll just be like a click there. Yeah. And maybe I was like wishful thinking, but turns out I wasn't, because that's exactly what happened. But he didn't just like show up at my doorstep. You have to put it out there that this is what you're looking for. And that's what I did. And honestly, we got introduced like randomly through an email, and here we are 2 years later.
Yeah. So that wasn't impossible. Did it happen fairly quickly, or did you vet a lot of people or meet a lot of people and then come across your partner now? Or
I did meet with several people. And like I said, I just you have to listen to your gut is way more powerful than you think. And so when I would meet these people, I'm just like, I don't see me like jiving with them completely. And so just had to move on, a little bit of disappointment here and there. But then when you meet the right one, like you're like, I'm giving dating advice now. I'm like, when you meet the right co-founder, it is like dating. Actually, you're going to spend like just as much time with them. So you better make sure you like them. Anyways, we just clicked right away, and he got the vision, and it's been truly like amazing since.
Awesome. Congratulations on that. Yes. That in itself is a great thing. So as we're kind of nearing end of our discussion, what I would like to go into, we've been talking about Ripple, but we talked about how in even our region, this is a forward-thinking product. And I think, what you're able to do, how you're able to engage students, and what you are potentially exposing the people like you and I to, the ones who don't have it figured out yet, who are still trying to just find the path, right? The career, if it is a career path, or is it entrepreneurship? Is it something that is against the norm? I love that that's what your platform's all about. And I think we need that even in our region. So talking to an audience who's primarily probably in the Wise area, around campus, around UVA-Wise, maybe some students, what's kind of your a couple minutes spiel to why I'm sure we'll throw some links out there for you to download the app when it's time.
Oh, it's right.
It is. I thought it was.
It's Apple only until December though. So it will be on the Play Store, but that's the only.
Yeah. So what is that little spill to that audience? Hey, you should really check out Ripple, especially if you're in that category of trying to figure out what your career path is going to look like.
Yeah. I read this quote somewhere a couple of weeks ago that said something like, you can't be what you can't see. And so I think in my mind, what was holding me back the most before I met my first mentor was like, I knew what I wanted to do. I knew I was capable, but there was something about having not seen it done or having somebody that had been there in that exact situation before me, not having that resource to just like ask them the very real questions, not like the, how did you get like there? Like, hey, here's where I actually am. How do I find a manufacturer? What does that look like? How do I price something? How do I, all of those things. Like that was the only thing that apparently was ever holding me back, because once I made that connection, it was like, okay, well, if she can do it, I can do it. And the power in just having one person that will believe in you or tell you like, these are the actual logical steps that you must take to get to your goal is like the most invaluable thing that's ever happened in my life. And I have a degree and I've worked in jobs. And so like I've done other things, but the most valuable experience I can look back on my life was the mentorship relationship and just letting somebody that was way smarter than me, like help guide me and me being really willing to learn from them. And, so that's what Ripple is all about. We have so many cool features that we're launching that are all great and going to help you with your like professional journey. But the core of it is we want to make sure that you have that person that you can ask those questions to. And that's what happens on the app. So if you have questions and you're looking for somebody, download the app. You're going to find somebody that wants to talk to you. And we're growing that every day. So if you download and you don't see the right person yet with the expertise you're looking for, just keep looking.
Right. Because you're getting in at the ground level. I mean, you just made this available to download a few weeks or a month ago.
Like a month ago. Yeah, roughly.
So that's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks.
And just to make sure everybody knows that your website is Make a RPL, like Ripple. No vowels, no P. Right? That's like the thing. No vowels.
Yeah,
like
no vowels. You have to make it cool. Yeah.
Yeah. So makearpl.com.
Yes.
Same thing on Instagram, socials. Make a RPL. Yeah. And so you can find that out, download it, or I'm sure if you search that on the App Store.
Ripple University on the App Store. So if you search Ripple, or actually if you just put RPL in, it'll pop up. But and the link is on our Instagram bio to download it directly. So yeah, if you find us on one of those channels, you'll find the app.
Yeah, and you can't miss it. The logo, like the little drop of water. The branding is hands down amazing. Great job from you and your whole team on that. It's awesome. So yeah, thank you for being here.
I've loved it.
Thank you for sharing that, your story, the ups and downs. I mean, our listeners got a very good just depth of information and storytelling from you, sharing the real life behind entrepreneurship. It's not always glamorous, but
no.
Sometimes you just have to do it.
Yeah, it's like 99% not glamorous.
Yeah,
so make sure you love it.
Yeah. So if you're listening, go check out that if you would like to find out what Ripple's about, what you can take advantage of on that platform. And also, just as a reminder, we mentioned it at the top, Nest House. We are on 213 Park Avenue Northeast in downtown Wise. This is a co-working space for students. We have resources like this podcasting equipment for you to use. So if you have any idea to do something like this creatively, want to get plugged into a project or just work on your own business, startup, community project, whatever, it's the place to do it. We'd love to connect with you. So just check out our social medias as well. The Nest, SWVA on Instagram, Facebook, and all that good stuff. So.